Hello guys, we had a tragedy in our family. Our little music making family we have here. My interface died. This beautiful thing that you've seen in several videos finally passed away. Yeah, I killed it and don't even ask me how. I feel stupid enough as it is. So, since I can't record my guitar and I can't use my microphone, I decided to keep making music however I can. And in this case, I decided to use my keyboard and just use MIDI instruments. So, since I want to get more into film scoring, I decided to look for public domain movies so I can practice making music for them. And for today's video, I made my own music for the intro of George Romero's 1968 classic Night of the Living Dead. I love this movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. So here is my version of the intro of Night of the Living Dead.
They ought to make the day the time changes, the first day of summer.
What?
Well, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light.
A lot of good the extra daylight does.
And now we're gonna go to Studio One and I'm gonna show you how I made this. Okay, so let's look at my session. For the first part, I'm using BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover by Spitfire. And for the rest, and really most of the cue, I am using Lab's Scary Strings. And the textures that this instrument comes from is really doing most of the work, and I'll show you in a second. So let's take a look at the first part. So for the first part, I have a cello and a bass doing a crescendo at the same time. For the cello, I have a tremolo expression, and it sounds like this. And as you can see here, I'm automating the dynamics. Pay attention to these faders right here. And for the bass, I don't have any tremolos, at least not in BBC Discover, but I'm using the long patches, and I'm also doing a crescendo. I'm gonna show you my automations. I have the expression line here. As you can see, it's going up. It sounds so pretty by itself, but when you add everything else, it sounds so disgusting, which is what I'm going for. And here is the automation of the expression and the dynamics of the cello. And that's all the automation that I'm doing for this track. And for the big orchestral explosion, if you will, that you get when you first see for the first frame of the movie, I have every single instrument in the orchestra playing a short note. So, for instance, in the violins, as you can see, I have here the expression spiccato, and it sounds like this. It's just a short, very loud, very sharp attack. And the dynamics are all the way up. And I have the same for every single instrument. So first violins, second violins, violas, cellos, and basses. And all of the strings together sound like this. Super dissonant. The woodwinds sound like this. And brass sounds like this. Very loud. And for the percussion, I have a timpani and a cymbal and everything together. Now, for the rest of the cue, I am using almost only lapsed instruments, and I'm using the BBC for the percussion, but everything else is just scary strings. And this is a really impressive free instrument, actually. As I said before, the natural textures that come with this instrument are already doing most of the work. So I'm going to show you what this sounds like if you're playing just one single note. So I'm just going to play, I'm going to play a C. So you should be able to tell how that note is not just one sustained pitch. The longer you sustain the note, it starts going out of tune, it starts to do some scratches, it starts to reveal some upper overtones. It's very, very unpredictable. And every single note that you can play on the keyboard is going to have those weird things, and they're all going to be different. So it helps you create this very beautiful chaos. And it's a very inherent sound of horror movies. So the key here is to sustain very dissonant intervals and start adding more notes and then taking some of them away and see how they interact with each other. As you can see, you don't really need to be composing anything. And this is exactly what I did. I didn't really write any music. I just played around with different dissonant intervals and cluster chords. And that's really what I did to make this music and the rest of the cue. And other than the strings, I'm just using the percussion, and mainly I'm just using this. Whoa. I forgot I was using that. I'm using that gong for when the title appears. And I also have that little drum in the background. I'm not counting measures or beats or anything. I'm just doing little patterns as I go. And that's it. I tried writing an actual melody and tried to harmonize it, but that didn't work really. So I decided to just do something more experimental and more like a modern horror film. It's obviously way more lazy and it's way easier to do because you're not actually writing actual music. It's just more like sound design, but I think it works really well. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. And really quick, I just want to say thank you so much to Tiago. I hope I'm saying your name right. Thank you so much for being my first Patreon. This is huge for me. I wasn't expecting to have any Patreons anytime soon, and I'm trying to put as much value there as possible. If you guys want to support me on Patreon as well, you can click the link in the description. There you can find the stamps for my songs. I have sample packs. I'm gonna be uploading extra content, stamps for the little demos that I'm making here, and presets, whatever you guys request over there. So click the link in the description. I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, please give it a like and consider subscribing. And that's it. I'll see you next time.